Hello there guys and welcome back to 100% Chelsea for another episode of the Transfer Show. And getting straight into it, there is something that has to be talked about. Louis, as you might have seen, has earlier done a video, short little quick video, saying that he's been told that Jamie Vardy to Chelsea is a done deal. So, make this clear again. He said that he's been told. He isn't the source himself. It's not like he got the information out of the club himself. He got the info from a source that gave Louis, information that turned out to be true a fair few times before. He's never mentioned those informations because, he wanted to make sure that the guy's, consistently trustworthy. Makes sense. You don't just because someone says something to you, don't just throw it out there to an audience of, well, at the time, I don't know, 20,000, 25,000, 30,000, whatever subscribers we were on at the time. You just throw it out there to that amount of people when you're not 100% sure whether it will come true. But in Louis' opinion, the guy has since proven that, he is consistently trustworthy. And he decided to let you guys know about, the information he received, obviously, about Jamie Vardy. Again, it's not him that created the story. He put a tweet out there as well saying that. So, it's not just me making that up now. It's not him that created the story. He was told about it. Like when a newspaper or even Sky Sports are being told about a story by one of their sources, they report it. And that's what we're doing. That's our job as a fan channel. Obviously, we want to give you content after games, fan cams and that kind of stuff. But it's also our job to report news. And, most of the time, fair enough, we're reporting what other news outlets are saying. But sometimes we're lucky enough to get hold of information firsthand. And, that's what happened this time round. But yeah, actually talking about the story in depth myself now, if you haven't seen it, Louis is saying that he has been told, again, Jamie Vardy to Chelsea is a done deal, like I said, which means that there is an agreement between Chelsea and Leicester over the player, to a certain extent, at least. And he also said there are talks to be held on Friday, and these talks are apparently going to be between Vardy and Chelsea to sort out personal terms. That Vardy would play his last game for Leicester on Saturday. Don't know who Leicester are playing on Saturday, but their last game, his last game for Leicester, and then join Chelsea next week. So for me, he'd be a very good signing. To be honest, I don't really understand what people's issue with signing him would be. He's incredibly quick. He's great in front of goal. Like even last season, he was good in front of goal. It's not his preferred position, but he can play out wide as well. Like, in the Euros, he played out of the wing for England a lot. And he was arguably the most dangerous player that England had whenever he came on or whenever he played. He's a very good crosser of the ball as well, which obviously helps him possibly playing out wide as well. And he's a fighter. And I think that's the most important thing. We lost our main fighter in Diego Costa. And Jamie Vardy will give 120% every minute of every game. And I think that's important. And he also started the season very well. In their first game, he scored 2 goals against Arsenal. And also in their second game against Brighton, which they won 2-0, he played a very good game. Even though he didn't get on the score sheet, from what I saw, he had a very good game. So, me personally, I don't get the issue. I think it would be a very good signing. Obviously, he wouldn't come in to replace Alvaro Morata as our first choice striker. It would either mean that we're going to start using 2 strikers up front consistently, if we do sign him, or that he'd just come in as a backup to Morata, because 2 good enough, if you want to call Batshuayi good enough, strikers for our team aren't enough to compete in 4 competitions, which we'll have to do this season as we're in the Champions League again. Now, another thing that Louis said is that Leicester want Batshuayi on loan for letting Vardy go. And although Louis' source said it's a done deal, I think if it does fall through, if that happens, it will fall through because we don't want to loan out Batshuayi. Because like I said, we want to have 3 good strikers. One very good, 2 very good in my opinion, although Morata, I'd class him obviously above Vardy, and a good striker in Batshuayi. And Remy, although he's still around, I don't know, I just can't see him staying, if I'm completely honest. So, if it doesn't happen, I think that will be sort of the deal breaker, if you will. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see. If it does happen, Conte clearly hasn't been impressed by Batshuayi. Possibly he has been impressed in pre-season because he did well there, but just, lost a bit of faith in him in the 2, competitive games that he played, arguably competitive with the Community Shield and obviously the first game against Burnley. So, we as a channel, we're not saying it's a done deal that Vardy will sign for us. We're told it's a done deal, and we're reporting it just like we'd report it, if the story came out of some sort of news outlet. But coming to a different story, enough talking about that. Just quickly, a few things that have been going around the news and Twitter today, is that Marina, her surname, is apparently very busy and has been very busy over the last few days working on deals for several players. The reason why we haven't signed any players for quite a while this window now is because Chelsea, we put a valuation on the player, and very rarely are we willing to pay above that if a team demands more. And seemingly, the other teams are very rarely willing to budge on their demands, which, I suppose is fair enough. Generally, it's just very stupid by the club. In today's market, you can't actually value a player anymore. Hardly any player is sold for their actual value. It just doesn't happen. Is Neymar worth 200 million? No. No human being, no anything. Well, not no anything, but no footballer is worth 200 million. Lukaku isn't worth 80 million or whatever United paid for him. Morata arguably isn't worth, with add-on, 70 million. But it's just what you have to pay in today's market. That's what it is. So, for me, I think that's the main issue we have. Don't value the players at what they're really worth in the market of a year ago, 2 years ago. You have to think about what they're worth now, maybe. And, if people ask more, if you're desperate, you have to pay more. It's not like we don't have the cash. But coming to another actual transfer story again, according to reports, Chelsea have identified Idrissa Gana Gay from Everton, the centre mid obviously, as an alternative to Danny Drinkwater. Well, I mean, that's all there is to say to the story, really, that we've identified him as an alternative to Danny Drinkwater. I mean, he's a quality player, in my opinion. He's very similar to Conte as well. But at the same time, that's my issue with him. As much as I wouldn't really want Danny Drinkwater if we weren't in such a desperate situation of needing players, Different is a very different player to anyone else that we have in that position. So he'd give us something different. If we bought Ghana, Gay, he'd just be basically either instead of Kante or playing a bit worse clone of Kante next to Kante. You know what I mean? I'm not sure that's exactly what we need at this moment in time. Obviously, I wouldn't be at all mad if we were to sign him. But, that's just my opinion. There's not much more to say. That we've apparently identified him as an alternative to Danny Drinkwater. And now coming to a very big story that broke this morning. Sportbild, sort of a sub-part of the Bild-Zeitung from Germany, has said that Thomas Tuchel, Dortmund manager until the end of last season, is favoured to take over from Antonio Conte at Chelsea. Like, as in soon, not like, in the future. Soon. People even said, in comments that even the BBC reported on it. Well, they did, but they didn't, Like, they only mentioned it in their gossip column, which they basically just put in what reports around the world have said. So, it's not that BBC sources have, supported that statement. It's just that, all right, that's been said in Germany. So, if people in England want to know about it, here on BBC, here's the gossip column, so you can read it. But it's not that they have said that's the case. Well, Chelsea have basically just denied that. And reports came out that Chelsea have no succession plan for Conte, and Tuchel is not on the radar of Chelsea, And as well as there not being any intention of getting rid of Conte at all. When I heard the news for the first time, my first thought was that Conte has properly threatened the board to leave if not enough players were signed. And basically just Chelsea were preparing for what if he actually does leave, to get a replacement in, quick, and not have to wait a few weeks until we can actually sign someone. Because, Steve Holland is gone to take over. We don't have Di Matteo at the moment. Fair enough, Gus Hiddink, but it's very early in the season to bring in Gus Hiddink as a, caretaker until the end of the season. So I thought maybe that's what's going on. But I don't think that's the situation either. I think it's just a bullshit rumour by a paper that, similar to the Marca, I think Marca or Marca, whatever, the Spanish newspaper. They just like, just like them, the Bild, like to hype up their countrymen. They just like to hype them up. Yeah, they're doing so well. Yeah, they're going here to just like talk about them, because that will just get sales, that will get clicks in Germany. Ooh, what? Tuchel is going to England. Tuchel is going to Germany. That kind of thing. So I think that's what it is. So although crazier things have happened than Conte leaving Chelsea, with the whole transfer window we're having and stuff, don't worry. He will stay. Antonio Conte is staying at Chelsea. Obviously, what he said in the press conference before and after the Spurs game, it just all indicates that although he's not particularly happy with the transfer situation, and that's obvious and everyone knows that, he's willing to work at this, work with the players he has, and do as well as he possibly can do. Because, as far as I know, he brought his family over now. I very much doubt he's just going to walk out now and, just take his family back to Italy or wherever he wants to go. When they just moved here, and, I suppose his daughter will start going to school in in September here and stuff. So I very much doubt that that's going to be the case. But you know, like I said, crazier things have happened. But like I said, don't worry, Antonio Conte is staying. But yeah, that's it from me. Leave me all of your thoughts down in the comment section below. First of all, on Jamie Vardy, would you want him? Say the rumor, the story that we received is true. Would you want him? You know, like I said, I gave you my opinion. I would very happily take him. You know, about the situation, Chelsea just like not being willing to pay more than their valuations of players, which is stupid. You know, leave me your thoughts on that as well. Idrissa Gana Gueye, what's your thoughts on that? You know, would you have him? Is it a rumor that's even worth mentioning? I don't know if it is, but I thought, well, might as well mention it. Like I said, not much to it other than that he's an alternative to the Drinkwater, apparently. And then obviously about Conte leaving, Thomas Tuchel taking over. You know, I doubt it. I very much doubt it. I think he'll stay, and I think it's just bullshit by the media. You know, to me, it just looks like, right, they just expected us to lose to Spurs, and then they expected this story to actually make sense. So they've written it before, and now even though we beat Spurs, they just released it anyway. You know, that kind of thing. But yeah, like I said, that's it from me. Leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Massively do appreciate that. Check out my social media links, my Instagram and my Twitter, which you'll find somewhere on the screen. I'd massively appreciate it if you follow me there as well. Thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, and I'll see you next time.